And we are live. This is your Omi Inca talking to you. And I am live coming at you today, Tuesday, the 16th of April, 2019. And the topic is, why do we need to ask for our basic needs? Now, I see that we're having a difficult time portraying to the powers to be that we have needs just as well as any other immigrant or any other migrant. Someone seems to still be lining up the black codes against us. As African Americans, we've been on this planet and on Turtle Island for over 400 and some odd years. People still have not got the picture that we are indigenous to this land. We were on this land and made this land worth something after it was determined that we would be slaves because of our birth color, our Nubian skin. Upon placing us upon the earth, we began to endorse the ground and cause the ground to be worth something. Prior to that, this land was not worth anything. But why do we have to prove that we have needs? If we were the first indigenous people who landed here on Plymouth Rock, on North America, why do we have to keep demonstrating that our needs must be met? We're indigenous to this land and we're gentile people, meaning that some of us are going to take what we need and suffer the consequences, be it as it may. But far too many of us are suffering the consequences of having to be incarcerated for the things that we go after. Now, I am speaking to you African Americans. We have far too many needs that we're willing to put our life on the line for. Maybe if we can just explain to the powers to be, Mr. Enforcer, that we will not go without our basic needs. Some households are going to bed at night without being fed. And some mothers are putting their babies to sleep just on their breast milk alone. When you find a nation that is stingy, that has taken a large portion of the money for their offspring, their children, and their children's children, so that they will be born with a silver spoon in their mouth, they're literally taking from the households that should be incurring those dollars. But they're taking those dollars from households that are under the poverty level. And when you have households that are their net worth is over $200,000, and you have households that barely have $8 left after paying their basic bills, then there's a problem. But yet you keep filing away our African American folks as prisoners when they become entangled with the law, when most of them are trying to establish themselves, and they have gone about it the wrong way because they're sick and tired of being sick and tired. So they take matters in their own hand. But is this right? But is it wrong? If you have that many people locked up in prison, then you must assess your laws. Maybe they're too strenuous. Maybe they need to be revamped. Or maybe the African needs to make laws for themselves and govern themselves. But we will not make any excuse for being here. We will not make any apologies for having needs that you are aware of. But you always downgrade those substances that you give us. If it's money we need for food, you give that money in a form of subsistence on a plastic card instead of the dollar bills to put into the bank and for us to learn to manage. When you go to Europe automatically has it set up where those dollars are sent to those constituents' bank account for them to manage throughout the month. That's how you teach an individual to manage their money and incorporate it with the existing money they have. And then they can stretch it a little bit longer. But when you decide that you're fearful of this person mismanaging and you put their money on a card, guess how they're going to treat that money on the card? Just like plastic and not like money. They're going to go through it like water. But now you've even changed that and degraded that to a lower level of no more money on the card. All the money must stay into the government organization, and your products and foods are shipped to you in a cardboard box, something that is so cold and that is so low grading. Now you feel bad because you have to take your food out of a box to feed your children. What if mice could have gotten to that box overnight? What if some of the foods and the hot ice melted on the way there? Now the food is tainted and soured. But it doesn't matter to those people that are shipping it out. They're getting it out in the Federal Express. What do you complain about? You're getting your food, whether it's edible or not. Well, I say far too much of this has gone on African Americans, and we've allowed it. We should not have to have gone to Mr. Enforcer at all for that daily bread, because God promised us that. He didn't say it would come from Mr. Enforcer. He didn't say it would come from Children and Family Services. He didn't say it would come from welfare. He said it would be manna that came from the sky. And manna is the highest substance that you can receive. So why is our God not providing for us? And why is he allowing someone to supersede us and to raise their hand and call the shots? Why? Have we asked our God lately? Has he not depended on us as the indigenous people of the world to train all of those that will come after us? So why now would he decide not to trust us in handling our own affairs? Where is our God anyway? Has he left for the weekend? Is he on sabbatical? It sounds like he's AOOL. Maybe we've been praying to the wrong God, and that party line got mixed up upstairs, and none of our prayers got through. Maybe we need to change our God and our religion too, because we shouldn't be waiting for manna to come to us in boxes, and nor should we be waiting for that hot ice to unthaw and to put that food in the refrigerator anyway, not knowing whether or not it completely unthawed or not. But we have basic needs too, you say. Yes, we do. But we keep going to the man to tell him about our problems. Is the man God? Is that what we've reduced God down to? The man? Is that why he is mistreating us? Because we have mistaken him for God? It is our fault. We can no longer depend on subsistence. I don't care if it's for your medical. Give it back and find a way to pay your own premiums. Because the more man knows that you're depending on him, the more they will mistreat you, because they know you need to have those substance. We're getting far much too dependent on our meds too. A number of you are so dependent on these meds that you're almost a junkie to these pharmaceutical drugs. Some of you have not even gotten a second opinion to find out if you've got the high blood pressure, to find out if you got the sugar diabetes. Why haven't you consulted a second doctor for a second opinion? You can get that paid for. They will reimburse you for a second opinion. But we have all these needs, and we're going to the man, asking them to fulfill our needs. No wonder God won't hear us, because we keep bowing down to an idolatry worshiping ceremony with their gods. But when we talk to somebody about saying Ashe and saying Ola Dula Mare, then these are supposed to be idolatry worshiping. Then they say we're worshiping witches. These are our own people that's proclaiming this, because they don't know their own tradition. They don't know that they have an African God, and they should be bowing down and lifting up holy hands to that African God. Then maybe some of those needs that they have will get met, and they won't get the party line mixed up and start praying to the wrong powers to be. Yes, we have needs. And you know what? Some of us young people have been taught, do whatever you have to do to get your needs met. That's why you see so many of us African American out here acting out, because our parents have told us to do what we have to do to get approval. Well, I say you don't have to do any old thing to get approval to make that extra dollar. Because there were times when we scrubbed floors and wash clothes and iron clothes to get our needs met in a decent and dignified way. But we've fallen lower than a refugee. And now our basic needs are just a memory. We have wants, and that's what we're fighting for, is our wants. But I never knew that our wants would supersede our needs. We have so many needs that have been gone, left unattended, like the needs to tend to our children. So many children are being left at home as latchkey kids because the mothers have to go to work. Because, you know, they have needs and they have wants and they have stuff they got to get, and they got to get those weaves and they got to get their nails done. But at the same time, we got our priorities mixed up. Our priorities are so mixed up that we don't know what takes precedence in our house, the children or the boyfriend. But we got needs. We got so many needs that we don't even think about our needs anymore, and our needs go unaddressed, and we start addressing our wants. What if I want that fine new car that I can't pay the payments on? What if I want to stay in that neighborhood that I know I can't afford? What if I want to go on those fine, fancy vacations that I just know that I'm going to max out my credit card if I go on? We've got to live within our means, and we've got to handle the political issues that are at hand. Those should become the necessities to address. We keep going downtown and signing up to vote and getting our voters registration card and fighting over whether or not we can renew it, and do we need to change districts, and then all to no avail. We wait to the end after we put our vote in, and our politicians don't look our way. They don't have an agenda for us. They don't address any of our needs in the Black community. They just wave their hand as they come in town, and we still keep going without. But yet, we still keep believing in the political system that when we pull that ballot, it's going to make a difference because our mothers and our grandfathers died to get that vote. And when they died to get that vote, we are sure going to honor that day and go marching in. When those saints go marching in to pull that lever, nothing happens. Why? Because we are so dependent on someone else making our future come to pass, when we must make and decide upon our own futures. We are so driven towards the Joneses and what they got and how they got it, you don't understand. It didn't come easy. And sometimes the Joneses are trying to tell you, child, you don't want what I got, because it comes with miseries. Trust me. And then yet we still strive to get what the Joneses got, because it looks like they've made it and like they're moving on up, like Florida and them guys. But yet Florida gets only so high up. But no matter how high she gets, she still will be looking up to them. And she feels like her struggling and washing clothes and cleaning house has just gotten above hand and out of hand, and she wants to move out of the ghetto. But there's a few people that know that they can't move out of the projects. And the projects is the life that their grandmothers led and their mothers led, and now they're the third generation, and they must get out of the ghetto. But then when they go to the suburbs, they find that the suburbs is something like the ghetto. You just have those clean sidewalks and manicured grass and watered grass, but at the same time in those homes, they're the same type of people that are going through the same kind of things like they go through in the hood. It's just a door to close the door and cover it up. But never the same. Those same people are strung out on drugs, barbiturates, all sorts of antiquated tablets. But it's very vital that we wake up. This situation with Nipsey should have woke us up. He was a man that saw the hood in another vision, and he took his vision to another level, and he told himself that he was not only going to play on that sidewalk, but he was going to own it. And he owned that statement to the point where he hustled. And he earned the name rightfully by hustling and selling CDs out of the back of his car till he couldn't sell anymore. And he sold them to some of the big hip-hop entertainers so that they could help make him rich and make him established enough to go to the bank to secure a loan, which he did. He left a legacy back here for us. That's why he wanted to go to the other gang members and say, look up, man, look alive. I got a plan. We're going to buy up all the neighborhood. We're going to take this drug money and we're going to own the block for real this time. And we're going to buy every piece of land that becomes available. And we're going to stop our gang banging. And we're going to become brothers like we should. And we're going to become united as one. Just like the Panthers wanted us to run our own community. Oh, did he have a plan? But he made the mistake of telling the man that this is what he was going to do when he went to the various gangs. He said, I'm going to make them understand. I'm going to explain it to them elegantly, and I'm going to show them how I've done it, and they can do it too. Somebody said, oh, no, you're not. Not on my watch, you're not. We got to stop this. He can't go telling the other gangbangers. They're supposed to be rivals. They're supposed to be fighting against each other. And they're supposed to be handing me money under the table. They're supposed to be at each other's throats. We can't allow Nipsey to do this. Stop him. Stop him now. And this, I believe, is what took place. Nipsey had an idea, a vision to envision his own community as being one that would have a cleaner on the corner, that would have a telephone service in the neighborhood, that would have a shopping store there, that would have a 5 and 10 cent store for women to shop, and a hair braiding cosmetic place to buy their fake hair. He had a vision that if every one of them would buy up the neighborhoods, then they could own their own hood, then they can put a sign up, keep out. We're managing ourselves today. He had a vision, and someone knew that that's what he was going to plant in the hood, but it was stopped before it ever manifested. Now, you got other men saying, I'm going to pick that mantle up. I'm going to carry that mantle on with Dr. Sebi. But it's not about Dr. Sebi. It's about him picking himself up by the bootstrap and giving other brothers in the community some straps to pull up. Here, man, pull your straps up. You ain't got to worry about your pants no more because you're wearing them too tight anyway, but pull your straps up. I'm going to give you a job. I'm going to establish you. I'm going to make you somebody. I'm going to give you a territory that you can really watch over. And the brothers in the hood heard that this is what Nipsey was going to do. They were awaiting his meeting to talk things over with him to see how he had figured that they could own their own block and their own community. They wanted to see how he figured that they wouldn't have to go to the bank with their track records and their felonies behind them. He didn't even think about them going to the bank. He was going to be the bank. And then they could borrow from him at a low interest rate. And they can build that hood up in the community too. And it would be all theirs. Somebody didn't want this to happen. Somebody didn't want to see this vision to come into fruition. So they stopped it. And they did it with calling one of ours aside and say, look at here. One of yours is going to try to run this place here. He wants to run this place and he wants to manage it. And you've got to be the one to stop him. What do you mean? I've got to be the one to stop him. Because I'm going to pay you enough to do what you got to do. Now go do your job. So something like that or other happened in the community. I would like to believe. But nevertheless, a good man was shot down along with his vision. And we're going to let the vision die? Or we're going to lift the vision back up where it belongs? And we'll put 3 heads on it this time, not just Nipsey's. And then we'll put 4 more heads on it. If we keep raising heads up, they can't kill all the heads. But when they know it's only one head, they know how to go and get that one head. But we got to unify. We got to unify and we got to bring marriage back, and it's got to be popular this time. Everybody's doing it. Everybody got their girl and their man, and they're going down the aisles getting married. And I don't care if you have to marry 5 or 10, 15 marriages at a single time. Yoke yourself together because they're afraid of a couple that is in duality. They can do more damage and harm than a single head of household. Trust me, these duality people are powerful because they both have rights. So marry your girl. And the old girl that you've been saying you're going to marry, go get her and marry her too. Put some rings on her finger and kill the fatted cow because your man has come home. Your wife has come home. We now know what we got to do. We got to become in duality to fight this whole war. We got to be in unity, and we got to take back what's ours. Nobody's going to hand it to us. They're going to keep it from us every time. And they're going to try to jar it out of your mouth if they can. But see, you got a strong jaw. And that's why you got the strong jaw, because you know somebody was going to try to snag it out of your mouth. But this time around, you know better. You can hold on to it. Whoever owns that property right now, that was Nipsey's partner, you need to be having a meeting with Nipsey's partner talking about jointly owning that product and that whole unit and strip mall, and looking at new land that you can buy. Quit buying these trinkets and these cars and this jewelry and these clothes. Quit putting money into clothes because they are highly marked up. The clothes have no value. Put 1 or 2 things in layaway, pay for it. Don't put nothing else in layaway and have no expenses going to clothes because they dry rot. They have no value and they can be Put up where moths can get to it. Put your value in liquid gold because it will not perish or fail you. We've got to come out of this materialistic world. We can't be a materialistic girl working in a materialistic world. We got to be an IT girl. A digital world is what we got to be in. Because some of those things, you can go trade them in tomorrow and you get your money back and you don't lose your value. And stop buying these fine, fancy cars because when you back off the lot, they depreciate. They ain't worth their value. You can take it back the next day and it's already upside down. Do you hear what I'm talking about, people? I'm talking about us coming together to stop trying to factualize or idolatrize what has happened. We don't care anymore what has happened. We only know that Nipsey, a good man, is dead because he had a vision. And don't think that they'll come for 5 or 10 more. We know the game now. And don't say not me because I won't be the next one that they assassinate. Come together. This is a time that you have to come together and unify. Unify them, Lord. Unify them. So when they come together, they got to come for all of y'all. And they got to bring something to get something. You got to have a warrior spirit. You got to have a warrior's heart and realize that Nipsey was a sacrificial lamb so that all of you other gangsters and other gangbangers might come together, that he might be sacrificed in the effort to bring all of you others together. Don't let his death be in vain. Don't let his death be in vain. Is my living in vain? No, 'cause up the road is eternal gain. Is my living in vain? 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 No, 'cause up the road is eternal gain. Have I let my light shine? Have I let my light shine? Have I let my light shine? No, 'cause up the road is eternal gain. Is my living in vain? 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 No, 'cause up the road is eternal gain. Let his living be eternal gain. And as you look at this picture, you are fretting far too long. Look at his family. They are not fretting over this situation. And his mother is too calm for cucumbers. And Black Sam has not fretted yet over this situation. Did they just give their loved one away? Did someone convince them that they could have other outstanding things in their life? But what you are going to yearn for is a better tomorrow for the people that he wanted. Someone wanted to put his lights out to prevent him from giving a better tomorrow to his community. You can give that better tomorrow to your community when you make up your mind to do so, when you make up your mind to strategize and to sit down and to meet with those other gang members, to come into solidarity, to purpose in your heart that you will not fight amongst yourself anymore, but you will take on the foes to be that will come against your nation. Build yourself a nation so that you can have something to rule over for real this time, and not just a block that's torn down with boarded up homes, but a block that you own inch by inch, one that other people will see and want to purchase and you can watch it go up in value, and it will not be depreciating, but it'll be appreciating with value. So you can go to the bank and cash in on pulling the equity out to build other communities up. This was a vision that Nipsey had, I'm sure. And if you can see what I see, you can see that it would be so advantageous for each and every one of you to come together on these airways and to network and to delegate and to talk about your building construction, your plan that you have for building the hood back up. Why is it taking you so long? Why have you put all these other things before it, like purchasing your gym shoes and purchasing basketballs and jewelry, but you never thought about the investment that you could make in your own hood and your own property that you own a piece of? Now, I'm sure Nipsey would be so proud of you. He would be so proud of you if you picked up the mantle and continue the journey that he was about to start, and talking to all of the gang members about how every man would manage their own territory, and no man would be an island, and they would not be given to one man, but they will manage together in respect and harmony and dignity, and solidarity will reign throughout the community. We are solidified. We're solidified, and we are strong, 100 strong. And no man would come against the other because they always share equal parts, and they would have what they need. And money would not be the ultimate. They would determine what their funds would be and identify what monetary gains will be. It could be liquid gold for all I know, but they won't fight over those dollar bills that have someone else's image on it. We could do this. We could turn this thing around for the good. And that's what must come out of this whole death. Some good must come out of this death of Nipsey. Even if it's a hoax or not, we could benefit from it. We could prosper from it. And we can make that step. And we don't need anybody's approval. We don't need anybody to sanction and stamp the stamp of approval. We can make that in our basements, in our living room, in our den, because it would be in our neighborhood that we're going to make the change. And we won't need the fellows in blue to govern our community. We will be so self-governed that we won't need anyone to come in from the outside to tell us what to do. We'll be doing our own thing this time. And we'll be doing it in harmony so that we are not fighting against our brothers where they have to come in and shackle us down and put handcuffs on us and throw us in cells. Because we'll be dignified people, ready to govern our own. And once the system see that we have a plan that's workable, that they do not have to govern, we can keep them out. And we can deputize our own to handle things. And we shall. This is what the vision was. Now, Nipsey has wrote the vision. And the vision is for the appointed time. Now, he that readeth that vision, let him run with it, because now is the appointed time. Let's go after the vision, and let's make this the appointed time. Thank you so very much for listening to me. You've been listening to Maddie Harvey's Baby Sister on Mienka 7 and Tribe. We must not forget to set up our altars, calling on our ancestors, and giving back their futile God, and developing our own God in our own image, and setting up our altars, and not forgetting to meditate day and night as we come into fruition of this new dream. Let's keep the dream alive or create a new one. Thank you.